right, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on Metro Television. My name is Moro Awudu. It's always a pleasure coming your way on a beautiful Saturday morning like this. Let me officially welcome you to Inside Pages. Now, on Inside Pages, what we do essentially is that we dig into the pages of the most topical issues that have made the headlines in the course of the week. We bring in the right guests, we ask them the relevant questions and the ideas that we want to elicit the right responses from them. My name is Moro Awudu. And I'd like to, on behalf of my production team, welcome you to today's edition of Inside Pages. And as usual, it promises to be very exciting, very thought-provoking, and very, very insightful as well, because that's the kind of conversation we have on this show. Now, we would just go straight ahead and tell you the issues that we intend to look at this morning. Now, the first one has to do with the New Patriotic Party's election of new executives to fill up various positions at the constituency level. Now, what the party has done is that it has given these constituencies different dates. In fact, they themselves have chosen different dates that they intend to hold these elections. So as we speak today, some of the constituencies will be holding theirs. But it has not happened without any violence or confusion at some centers. As we speak this morning, the police tells us that 7 persons have been held in remand at the police cells. They will be bringing us some updates. We'll bring in some updates on that as well. And then so we're asking the question that based on what we have seen so far, without the complaints of people saying that they can't find their names on the register and all the various complaints we've heard from parts of the country, we want to ask whether the New Patriotic Party is gearing up really to break the 8 as they have been trumpeting. So that question would be seeking to answer on the show this morning. And also the United States Department has released its 2021 annual country reports on human rights practices, which reports on key human rights issues in various countries across the world, and that includes Ghana. And sadly for Ghana, again, we've been cited for free speech infractions and other human rights abuses in the report. Quite damning indeed. We would be looking into that. We'll be having a conversation on that as well. My name once again is Moro Awudu. When I come back, I'll do 2 things. I will advertise the WhatsApp line for those of you who would want to contribute by sharing your comments, your opinions, or views on the issues that we've raised. And then also, we'll be doing the reporter's blog. Thanks for tuning into Metro TV. This is where the action is. Stay tuned in. Welcome back from that short break. We'll now be doing the reporter's blog. Stay tuned in.
Through a referendum, the 1992 Constitution was approved on April 28, 1992. The Constitution, however, came into effect on January 7, 1993. Over time, there have been concerns about the relevance of the 1992 Constitution from political watchers. On January 11, 2010, late President John Evans Atta Mills inaugurated a 9-member Constitution Review Committee chaired by Professor Albert Fiajo.
As our democracy continues to grow and attract worldwide recognition, there is the need for us to give weight to this Constitution. Indeed, having operated this Constitution for 19 years, there is a meeting of minds to the effect that we need to re-engineer, we need to reshape, we need to hem in the loose ends, we need to fill in the lacuna, and also make this Constitution responsive to the exigencies of our current times.
Their mandate was to, among other things, ascertain from Ghanaians their views on the operation of the 1992 Constitution, particularly its strengths and weaknesses, to articulate their concerns on amendment that may be required for a comprehensive review of the 1992 Constitution and to make recommendations to the government for consideration and provide a draft bill for possible amendment to the Constitution. The work of the committee laid the foundation for amendment, but there have been questions why recommendations made by the committee have been ignored over the years. Some have called for a complete overhaul.
We don't have leadership. We have misleadership. We have enemies of state. We have people who think they are more than even the colonial masters.
It is still enough for our needs. It is no longer capable of satisfying our wants that are increasing and evolving and getting urgent by the hour. Especially after the CRC countrywide consultations over 10 years ago, every Ghanaian knows that when it comes to our wants, the 1992 Constitution is a Kwashiorkor Constitution.
Is for the national interest to reign supreme and not partisan interest. So this is an opportune moment for Ghana to review thoroughly the 1992 Constitution. So I look forward to the coming days of a presidential review commission on the work that was done under President J.E.A. Mills.
Others, including Ghana's President Akufo-Addo, believes a wholesale change is not the way to go.
To change the constitutional arrangements that have assisted this durability, we should be very careful how we go about it. I feel very strongly on that point, and that is why I have not lent my support to the idea of this wholesale review of the Constitution.
Host of Good Evening Ghana show, Paula Dumotri, also believes the 1992 Constitution grants excessive powers to the president, and that must be corrected.
That the powers that are granted to the president in the Constitution are excessive, and therefore I think that part needs to look at. That's one. The second part that needs to look at is the fomenting of a winner-takes-all syndrome. Winner-takes-all political syndrome is what this Constitution foments. And as a developing country, as a nation state, gathered together by colonial artificial borders, a winner-takes-all arrangements, political arrangements, will not foment well for the development of our society. We have tried constitutional rule, the First Republic in 1960, Second Republic in 1969, the Third Republic in 1979. Somehow, all of these constitutions could not stand the test of time. Somehow, the 1992 Constitution stood the test of time, and now we are 30 years in.
For others too, the political parties must commit to safeguarding the 1992 Constitution.
No fine-tuning of the Constitution can achieve much. No reform of the Constitution can achieve much. So since the Constitution is structurally sound, generally speaking, and substantively sound, generally speaking, I think it's imperative at this stage that we have a real commitment on the part of the political class.
It is the Constitution that has helped in creation of Metro TV. If you know what I mean, we now have, a lot of media houses, and that has helped to probably bring information to the doorstep of people, so that it has also helped to create some form of employment for persons like you to work within the space.
30 years on, is it time for a change?
About our conditions in this country now as workers. We are all aware of the inflation, especially since last year. Look at what has happened to our exchange rate, the exchange rate of the city. Look at the increase in salary that we got last year. These three, inflation, exchange rate, and the low rate of pay increase, have combined to really rip us of all what we have gained in the last several years. And this is the time to address that. If you look at the inflation figures, you'll be very sad. And the Ghana Statistical Service has just released the inflation for March. And when I looked at it, inflation for March was 19.4%. When we were negotiating minimum wage and single spine base pay in July 2021, inflation was 9%. Today, inflation is 19.4%. What has happened to the value of our money? It is completely eroded. But that is not all. If you look at the most important thing in the consumer price index, which is food, food price has gone up on average by 22.4%. And this is when they gave us 4% for last year and 7% for this year. The things that have been affected most include food, which is something that, keeps us going. That's the source of our energy. The other item that has suffered in terms of inflation is housing, water, electricity, gas, and fuels. If there is inflation, what should government do? Government should protect income by indexing our salaries to the inflation. If that doesn't happen, we should make it happen. What should the employers do? They should index our pay to the inflation, because employers, they change the prices of their goods. So the effects of inflation doesn't affect them the way it affects us. Therefore, we should get our salaries indexed. If you look at the exchange rate, today, 1 cedi is equivalent to 30 US cents. At the time, if you had 1,000 Ghana cedis, it means that you had $1,000. Today, if you have 1,000 Ghana cedis, you have $132. 80% of our money has been eroded. And who is in charge of managing the exchange rate? It's our employer, the government. And it's very easy to blame the COVID and Ukraine for this. But listen, before Ukraine and COVID, the situation in Ghana was not too good, especially with employment. Therefore, nobody should hide behind COVID and Ukraine to say that Ghana is in this state because of these two events. We will not accept that this year. Therefore, what is due us will come to us. So, comrades, when we are talking about suffering, it is as if all Ghanaians are suffering. That is not the case. Some people are not suffering. And we have the data. So, as I said, Kwabena will go into the details. Those who are suffering most are those on single spine pay, single spine salary structure. The nurses, the doctors, the teachers, and other public servants. They are the ones suffering. About 700,000 are getting the lowest salary compared to others. When we got 4% and 7%, do you know there are some public sector institutions that got 25%, 30% increase?
Well, interesting, wasn't it? Well, I enjoyed the Reporters Block. I hope you did too. Now, I mentioned that the New Patriotic Party is organizing its constituency elections. So persons are standing and they are contesting to be elected for the various positions within the party at the constituency level. Now, various constituencies have been allowed to choose the date in which they want to hold theirs. But that's at the micro level. Now, at the macro level, at the bigger level, is that most of the persons who are interested in leading the New Patriotic Party into the 2024 elections have an interest. And that's understandably so, because most of them, or I'm sure not even most of them, but they will all be interested in who becomes what and where, because these are potential delegates, right? And because they are potential delegates, everything is being done by these aspirants, as we have heard being suggested in different quarters, are supporting these delegates so that they can win. And when they win, they can be rest assured that these are persons that would vote for them. But we also do know that the front runners, as we all have come to know, which is the Dr. Mahmoud Bamia and Alan Tremanting, there have been all kinds of conversations about how the two contestants or aspirants would be made to work together. So Nana Komia, who is the former director of communications for the New Patriotic Party, but also now is managing the STC, is making some very interesting suggestion. Now his suggestion is simple, that when he listens to the kinds of statements that are being made by persons within the party, it would only be wise and progressive and also would make sense if the elders of the party are able to come together to speak to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Alan Chermanting, sit them down and see how they can work together. Whether it's going to be Alan, who is going to be the flag bearer of the party, and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia continues to be the running mate, or Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia becomes the flag bearer of the party, Alan becomes a running mate. But that's a conversation that's had to be had at a certain level. Nana Komia here is he's making that suggestion. And fortunately, he was on Good Morning Ghana yesterday, hosted by Dr. Randy Abe, and he sought to clarify the point and to sort of throw some more, to basically explain what he meant by a consensus building between the two front runners. Let's watch that video. When we come back, I'll be introducing my guests. But in the meantime, I need to let you know that if you have any comments you want to share with us, you have a viewpoint, which we very much will appreciate, send it to 05000, which is 05000. So 05000 25621. 25621. So 05000 25621. Now let's watch Nana Komia. Let's listen to what Nana Komia has to say about Alan and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
The basis for my view is very simple. The tradition of the two big political parties, and also some of the smaller parties, is to have a balanced presidential ticket. And the history is very clear. I mean, with the NPP, in 1992, you had Edu Boahene and Roland Alassane. We've tried to have this balance, at least geographically. The geographical north, the geographical south, to have that balance. In the two political parties, in 1992, we had Edu Boahene and Alassane, Roland Alassane. 1996, it changed a bit, but we all know we can come to that. In 2000, we had President Akufo and Alui Mahama. Same for 2004. Same for 2008. Akufo-Addo and Bawumia. And then for 2012, the same. 2016, the same. 2020, the same. So for the NPP, you've seen that there's a tradition of having a balance, geographical balance in the presidential ticket. That has been the history of the party. If you went to even the NDC, President Rawlings had, is it Accra? And then he had Mills.
Yes. South-South.
South-South. After that time.
South-South, Christian.
After that time, they've had Mills Mahama for 2008. They've had Mahama Emisata, and Mills Mahama is the balance, the north-south, geographical balance. They've had Mahama Emisata. They've had Mahama, the lady, what's her
Professor
name?
Jane.
Professor Jane.
Mm?
So even in the NDC, after 2000, they've had the north-south balance. So it's clear that the NPP today will maintain that balance.
In fact, in 2016, you said that the NPP said that it's decided that it will have a Christian-Muslim slate.
Well, when you talk of balance, what it means is that you want to be as inclusive as possible. So you can even then include gender. So in Jane, Professor Jane, the NDC is getting a north-south balance and also gender, So, and then you can also have religion, if you like. The more balance you have, the more inclusive your ticket. And that really is not just Ghana. Everywhere in America is the same. They try to balance their ticket. Now, in the NPP,
you say allow whoever wins to do his own balancing.
Okay.
Don't balance for the person.
No, nobody is calling for somebody to balance. We say let them meet and see if they can agree on a balance. That's all. Consensus building is central to democracy. You agree? Now, for the first time in NPP, the two leading contenders, which is Chermantin and Bawumia, they also satisfy the balance. In 1992, the leading contenders were Eduboahene Kufuor, they were all South-South. 1996, the leading contenders were Kufuor, same Kufuor and Eduboahene, the South-South. 1998, Kufuor and Akufo-Addo, South-South. 2008, it was Akufo-Addo and Alan, South-South. 2012, the same, Akufo-Addo, Alan. 2016, Akufo-Addo, Alan. It is only this time that you have the two leading contenders also satisfying the balance. So it is fairly obvious that if Bawumia is the flag bearer, he will choose somebody from the south. And if Alan is the flag bearer, he will choose somebody from the north. So if the two of them satisfy for the first time that balance, I'm saying that it would be a good time to consider a consensus. That's all.
Who will be the candidate and who the running mate?
As to who is the candidate or who is the running mate, leave it to the consensus team, because you have to go and host trade. There seems to be some fear from the reactions that I've got. In fact, since the interview last week, there's been a lot of widespread interest in the party on this matter, and some of it has reflected in the media. But the calls and messages that I've gotten from stalwarts in the party, it's almost like this is an idea whose time has come. It's not just even I just happen to express it, but if I showed you the people in the parties who sent me messages on this, you'll be amazed. One person had an interesting idea, let me just say it by there. He even said that he thinks that even to cut this tension down, because even the running mate thing is also contentious, he believes that we should consider, I won't mention his name, but I thought it was interesting, that we should consider people also running for running mates. Oh. And then I said that, well, those things, they are in the national constitution, so it's not just NPP. But he thought it would be interesting if people are vying for presidential candidate and people are also vying for the vice presidential candidate. But I've got lots of messages from party people on this matter. And of course, the media too has been very interested in it and all of that. Now, there seems to be some fear that if you call for consensus, then it means you are favoring one person. And I don't see where that fear is coming from, because you are not bound to go and take a position you don't like. You are going there and you're going to host trade. Host trade means you're going to look at your respective positions, your respective strengths, what can be considered, what cannot be considered, and come to a position. You can always walk away from the table. Nobody will bend and go for an election. It cannot be by force, you see. So to presume that a call for consensus means favoring one person, I don't know where it's coming from. Look, if you believe that Bawumia, with his current position as vice president in a consensus building project, would have an advantage over Alan, what you should remember is that in 1996, there was a sitting vice president called Aka. President Kufuor led the NPP into a consensus building with the CPP. And the CPP's candidate was the sitting vice president of Ghana. And yet when they went to the meeting and all of them assessed their, in fact, the CPP was saying before the meeting that theirs is the vice president. So their man has to be the presidential candidate. But when they went to the meeting and came out, the result that they presented to the country was that Kufuor was going to be the flag bearer and the sitting vice president was going to be the running mate. So you go in there to frustrate. If you believe what you want is so fundamental you don't get, you can always walk away. Look, they say, my uncle Kojompianim says, he was a bit nuanced, you know. He's an elder in the party, and I'm sure if there's a consensus that let's try this to see if it will work, he will probably be one of the people, the elders of the party. So you could see he was nuanced. He said, oh, it will not be easy. Now, people have ambition.
He was looking at compatibility and ambition.
He was looking at compatibility. But Chief, what is easy? You think it is easy to find millions and millions and millions of cedis to spend 1 year trekking around the country, addressing almost 300,000 delegates. You think it's easy? So nothing is easy. Even getting a consensus on election of MMDCs is not easy. But is the effort worthwhile? We all have ambitions. Me sitting here, you think if I'm running mate, I won't like it. Or if I'm presidential candidate, I won't like it. Or if I go and...
Why are you not running for president?
So I'm saying all of us have ambitions.
You are not answering my question. Why are you not running for president?
I'm not talking about me.
This sounds like this sounds like a declaration of the ambition.
Why are you not running for president?
Have they declared?
Have they what?
Have they opened the gate?
Will you? But you're already proposing. If you were interested, you'll not be proposing what you're proposing.
Because they have declared.
No, so, but if you were interested in running this time,
or you know, I choose to remain quiet until the gate is open.
But you cannot be making this proposal and having ambition to run.
So what it means is that my ambition
is on hold.
Is on hold for what I believe is of the bigger interest of the party. So I'm saying that when you say people have ambitions, we all have ambitions. Samuel Kujato, young, nice guy, a bit overage there, but
a bit of what?
It's okay. You say I don't expect it. But yes, I'm sure people tell him that, Sami, to hold yourself well.
You make a fine president.
You know, so everybody, in fact, there's a saying that even the constable wants to be IGP. True. So everybody has ambitions. True. But
these are provocations I will ignore.
This one is a provocation. It's not because of you, I've just gone home to sleep. This one too is provocation. Now, so as for ambition, all of us have it. But you must be able to mold your ambition in the larger interest.
Right.
Look, in 1996, I mean,
and I'll be wrapping up for me.
Kojompienu, my uncle,
yes,
was the chief of staff to President Kufuor.
Yes.
So he would recall that in 1996, when the NPP thought that a broader minority party coalition was a good way to defeat President Rawlings, President Kufuor led the NPP to go outside the party, to the CPP, to look for a running mate. So the records show that when we thought that the larger interests of the party called for a certain action, we took it. We actually went outside the party in 1996 to another party to select a running mate because we thought that at that time a broader minority party coalition was in the interest of the party. Compatibility, if we can go outside our party to choose running mate from other parties, how is compatibility a major issue? As to who will be number one and number two, let them sort it out at the negotiation table. Let them go and do their horse trading. If they come out and say that, look, we couldn't come to an agreement as to who is number one, number two, why? They can always go and do the elections. Look, even this opinion, when you look at some of the commentary, I mean, it was like they've started a campaign. The mad slinging. There's some chap, I understand he used to be an MP, I don't know him. But the vitriol that he puts up against Baumia in contributing to this, my view. You know, and this is like the tip of the iceberg. The party is going to go through all of this vitriol, mad slinging, damaging the attacks against each other. even this one, we haven't even started. The things that this former MP said about the Baumia, I can't even repeat them here. So this is an approach that would ensure that division in the party is reduced, acrimony is reduced. We have an opponent who is fairly settled on their candidate. So they are going to spare themselves this acrimony and division and rancor and spending huge amounts of money. They are going to spare themselves, but they're fairly settled on the candidate. If we can give ourselves a chance of also settling, why not? So I don't understand why anybody should be
angry,
upset. I mean, how would you be upset on a call for consensus?
It's truncating ambitions.
Yeah, but your ambition is your ambition. We're talking about
once you have put yours on ice, others should do same.
I'm not saying anybody should. Look, even if, assuming that in the next 4 months, 5 months, the party comes around to this idea, or some people take the initiative, and so you have a joint Baumia-Alan ticket, or Alan-Baumia ticket, there will still be elections. Because other people are interested. And unless they also become part of the consensus, you have to give them the chance to contest.
Why didn't you consider the Greek minister in the consensus?
No, he's a fine gentleman, but I'm talking of the leading contenders.
You don't consider him as leading? One of the leading contenders?
Who? You, do you?
Oh, I'm far away. I mean, you are closer to your delegates.
So what is your far away?
So I might not know. I came from a voter region. I saw a lot of his billboards and posters. The voter region.
So what is your far away view of how do you see it? Do you see him as the leading contender?
I'm still planting for student jobs.
So I'm saying that the real situation on the ground is that these are, I mean, we've known in every election, we've known the leading contenders, haven't we? In every election. Every small boy supporter of the party will tell you that is the leader. So we have that chance now because of the geographic balance. And if we take it, it will be good for the party.
All right.
So my conclusion is that I am not against anybody or in favor of anybody. I'm saying go and horse trade. It will be good for the party.
Right.
If we can't reach a consensus, why we'll have to go and look for millions and millions and go and fight against ourselves.
Okay.
Well, very, very, very interesting proposition or proposal or suggestion or recommendation by the former Director of Communications for the New Patriotic Party and also the Managing Director of STC, that's Nana Komia. He was on Good Morning Ghana on Friday, hosted by Dr. Randy Abe. And his proposal is simple, that the party should be able to get, should do everything possible to get Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Nana Komia, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Alan Kojo Chiremantin to sit down and talk and see how they can work together. In fact, he wants the two of them to run on the New Patriotic Party's ticket for 2024, because what is currently happening in the party is something that is, he says, is sacrilegious. It's very worrying, and the New Patriotic Party would have to do something about the situation. I don't know whether you agree with him or not. I don't have an opinion to express on this matter, but what I can tell you is that one of the well sought after and renowned analysts when it comes to assessing people's capability or their suitability for a certain political position. I'm talking about persons who would want to become president and so on. Dr. H.S. Ikanko will be joining us. Now, he has some very interesting analysis he'll be doing, or he'll be sharing with us, or he'll be presenting shortly on the show and on this Alan Bawumia ticket and whether it's going to work for the New Patriotic Party. That's going to come up shortly. You don't want to miss out on that. But more importantly, let's now go back to a very interesting development in a Dome Kwabinya constituency. Now, you do know that in the Dome Kwabinya constituency, some very interesting development that the MP for the area, the lawyer, Sarah Ajua Safo, is not in town. She's in the United States of America for some medical reasons. But the the elections was due to take place in her constituency. But the delegates there are saying that some of the delegates say they will boycott the elections. And the reason is simple. The reason is that they cannot find their names on the register. And some of their colleagues can't also find their names on the register. So they are not interested in participating in the elections. And also some of the names that they say are on the register are names that are very unfamiliar to them. That means they're ghost names. These are people they don't know. They don't know them from anywhere. So what is happening? So there's some confusion there at Domi Kwabenya. Let's now go there. My colleague Henry Kwesi Bedu was in that constituency. Let's watch the report he came through with.
Personal interest in tea, and then we had the Kwabenya, yes, somebody for another.
Some Domi Kwabenya delegates expressing their displeasure at the New Patriotic Party's national leadership claim the Constituency Elections Committee has employed mechanisms to create a dubious and flawed album calculated to disenfranchise delegates who are sympathetic towards the incumbent Member of Parliament for the area, Sarah Adwoa Safo. According to them, all attempts by their group to get the situation resolved through the party's internal dispute resolution mechanism have proven futile.
Over 600 names have been taken from the album.
Is it targeted?
Yes, it's targeted because these are people who are perceived to be supporters of the Member of Parliament. Yes, these are people who are perceived to be supporters of the Member of Parliament and the team contesting in this election. So they are the people whose names have been removed from the album.
Sure. If you say you are boycotting the election, what exactly are you doing? What are you doing?
Well,
you are not going to turn out for the election?
No, we are not. As a team, nobody from our team is going into the contest, meaning we have withdrawn from the contest. Our names and our pictures will not be found on the ballot sheet on election day, and neither are our supporters to going to the election grounds on Sunday to cast their vote. After the electoral area coordinators elections, we still felt that the party will at least listen to us and then address the grievances that we had brought before them. We sent a petition to the regional office. Nobody did anything about it. We sent a petition to the national office. Nobody did anything about it. We sent a petition to the Alternative Dispute Resolution Committee, which is chaired by the Honorable Cecilia Abnadapa. And up to now, nobody has done anything as far as the germane concerns we have raised as party members are concerned.
They have since accused the leadership of, among other things, playing the tribal card, hence their decision to boycott the election.
They claim the Voltarians in our party are members of the National Democratic Congress, so they have devised strategies to disqualify them from contesting the various leadership positions in our constituency.
The Domi Kwabenya constituency executive elections is slated for May 1, 2022. Henry Kwesi Bedu, Domi Kwabenya, Accra.
Right, sorry about that. A lot of things happen off air. But anyway, let me just say this, that those were scenes from Domi Kwabenya where delegates were complaining about the fact that they can't actually find their names on the party's register. And they have been complaining, basically, as you saw in that video. Let's take a short break. When we come back, I'll be introducing my guest. My guest already gave me some very interesting analysis about this Alan Bawumia ticket. You don't want to miss it. Please stay tuned in. Okay, so just in case you just joined us, this is Inside Pages on Metro Television. My name is Moro Awudu, and two very important issues we intend to look at, or we will be looking at on the show this morning. One, which has to do with the new patriotic parties' ongoing elections at the constituency level, where various positions are going to be filled. But also, we do know that there have been some pockets of confusion and violence in some places. We just saw what happened in Domi Kwamenya, where the delegates were angry with the party because they can't find their names in the register and they don't know what is happening. I mean, in some cases, we have ghost names. So they think something very fishy or something funny is happening. Now, remember that the Domi Kwamenya seat, as I did indicate earlier, is a very interesting one because the MP, we know what has happened to her. She's in the United States of America for medical reasons. And the party has been doing everything possible to get her to come down. She hasn't been. She's not been in town. And we do not know where these delegates who are complaining that their names cannot be found in the register, where they belong, whether they are pro Adjoa Safo or pro Michael Quay Jr., because we do know that Michael Quay Jr. is also very much interested in that particular seat. And so something very interesting is happening in Dome Kwabenya and some other constituency as well. One other constituency which has also come up for the news is the Yendi constituency, where Alhaji Farouk Aliu Mahama is the MP for that constituency, and similar issues are happening with people not finding that. In fact, as we speak, the elections in that constituency has been suspended, and we're told that the president himself had to personally intervene for the elections in that particular constituency to be suspended because people can't find their names, and that's very worrying indeed. Now, let me now come back in studio and introduce my guest. Sitting on my left is Madame Gloria Ofori-Boadu. She's the managing legal practitioner, GOB Law Consult. Thank you very much, Madame, for joining us. But she sympathizes with the new patriotic party, and she doesn't have any qualms with that at all. I mean, she has very interesting views on this Alan Bawumia thing. You don't want to miss it. And also, Dr. Adams Bona is a security analyst as well. Doc, thank you very much for joining us on the Inside Page. And also we're expecting Dr. H.S. Kanku, who is a communications and political communications and campaign analyst. He's got some very interesting presentation as well that he'll be sharing with us with regards to this Alan Bawumia matter. Now, let me start with Madame Gloria Ofori-Boadu. Now, I know you'd have interesting thoughts you want to share on the so far how the constituency elections have been, but it looks like you can't wait to give us your opinion on Nana Komiye's proposal. Nana Komiye is proposing that the party must sit Alan and Dr. Bawumia down, the party elders, and get them to build consensus and hopefully get them to stand on the party's ticket for 2024. This is the first time that, in his view, the party's front runners, one comes from the south and one comes from the north. So it only makes sense that they are spoken to so they can work in unison. After all, the party wants power and nothing else. I don't know what you think about this.
Oh, I disagree with Nana.
You disagree?
Yes, I disagree because a party is a party based on the masses.
Right.
So at the end of the day, the mass members of the party must have the opportunity to decide who becomes the next flag bearer of the new patriotic party. And then the flag bearer will also choose the running mate.
Right.
So it is the party. You know, at the end of the day, it is the party that matters, not the people at the top. It's the party that chooses our leaders. It's not the leaders that chooses the party. We have to be, recognize that. And so, for many years now, because we've had a history of military interruptions, I never call it intervention. It's not. It's an interruption of the democratic process. It took us a while to come up to actually have a broad consensus at the local level. In this regard, we had electoral colleges of delegates because there was a time people were even afraid to be associated with a political party, especially in the days of the NDC when the NPP was in opposition. So people had to be begged to even show their face as party executives. And so for a while, the party was working through its polling station chairman to elect, regional, constituency, national, candidates. After a while, through a lot of consensus and through a lot of, stakeholder consultations, the executives, the 5 executives at the polling stations and also the Nasara representatives were also brought in as delegates. So the delegates was, the margins were enlarged. But now, party members want to be part of the election
process.
Yes, of the process. And so recently, last year, I think it was in December 19th, there were all these proposals for amendment to the constitution of the NPP.
Right.
And some of us, myself, representation from North America, and I think 3 others, brought in a proposal that's to get all paid-up party card-bearing members in the whole country to be involved not only at the polling station, but also in the constituency, coordinator, regional, national elections. Unfortunately, even though proposals were neatly printed out with motions for amendment, the proposals were never discussed. Never.
Okay.
And so it's in limbo. But what we kept saying is that the party has no money at the polling stations. But elections are won at the polling stations. So if we have card-bearing members who are aligned to the party paying some minimal dues, depending on what you can afford, that can strengthen the party at the polling station. And even if the party goes into opposition, let's be realistic. Ghanaians will not have one party forever. So even if the party should one day go into opposition, there will be money at the grassroots. There will be support strengthened with money at the grassroots. But it was never discussed. Never discussed.
We'll come back to some of the proposed...
So I believe that it is not the party elders who should decide an Alan Bawumia ticket.
Yeah, but Nana Komia is suggesting that what is currently happening in the party is tearing the party apart. I mean, you have persons who are raining all kinds of insults on the sitting vice president,
you know why?
and people asking whether indeed he is actually a true member of the party, and they're asking when did Bawumia. I mean, these kinds of things in the views of Nana Komia will not augur well for internal cohesion. And so why, if you can sit the two of them down to get them to do what he calls horse trading, so the two of them can go in unison, so the party will have his peace of mind.
Don't forget that the party has provision for 5 people to contest as presidential candidates.
Right.
5. At first, it was free for all, but at one of these, delegates meeting held at the trade fair, I remember very well that they were discussing, some said 3, and I remember the last discussion was by Honorable Dambutri, and he shouted and said, can we make it 5? Can we limit the numbers to 5? And it was upheld. That is democracy. Getting everybody on board to express their views, express their opinions, to take a decision in what happens in the party of their choice. Not the party of their choice, because it's not every Ghanaian who wants the NPP. Some people do not, and they will never vote NPP. Likewise, NPP members will never vote for some other parties. Likewise, the CPP. It's a democracy. People have their choice to go to whichever church they want to vote for whichever party. Let's not box people into one single block. Then that will not be democracy. That will be a form of dictatorship. So in terms of this democracy, we also wanted to have a discussion as to who can vote for the party, because the party members they are alive, they are alert. The social media, even if they can't express themselves in English, they see what goes on. They want to express themselves through the ballot to vote for their polling stations. Interestingly, the polling stations, the constituency allows everybody to vote. But I took part in some of the polling station elections, and it was very interesting. Who are the party members at the polling station? Well, some people showed up quickly and voted, but what is the record? What is it, the party membership, or is it because you vote at the polling station? What is the guarantee that even if they voted, come 2024 elections, they'll vote for the party? A party must know its polling station members. A party must have some commitment from its polling station members. How do you show commitment? Through some form of dues payment. But the party has nothing like that. Well, those who stood up at the polling station also want to be recognized so that they can vote for their coordinators, their constituency, their regional, and their national executive.
But that is happening.
It's not. And that is why it's not. Now we are using delegates, the selected. And so the polling station, what happened was that some people filed their nominations for their, they filed their nominations, but on the D-Day, they were nowhere to be found on the ballot papers. And I remember one woman talking to me, she's called Sister Amma, she said, Madam, can you, let me speak in English. Can you file your nomination with somebody, and then the person's photo and everything appears on the ballot paper, but yours doesn't. And I said, well, I don't understand. So you can go up to the constituency level and complain. But I remember one man standing by him, looking at us and saying, you know what? 2024, you guys should just come here and man the polling stations.
Wow. That's what the person said.
That's what the person looked at me, smiled and said that and walked off and said
that's very serious.
That's very serious. You know.
We will talk about the piece that you.
We have to look at.
Yes.
I still say that the delegates, the National Annual Delegate Conference.
Yes.
Then the proposals for amendment to the constitution of the party, and then the motions for amendment, which have been stalled. It's mandatory as a liberal democratic party for the executives to ensure that we have that delegates meeting again. That is what the Constitution says. And if it's a party that believes in the Constitution at the national level, then it must be seen to be upholding its Constitution also within the party. And if we don't do that, then we'll have people fighting because everybody wants to be recognized. Everybody wants to be part of the process. They don't want to be left out. Will you want to be left out?
Oh, no, I wouldn't want to be left out, obviously. But you have a piece here, very interesting piece you sent to me yesterday. You said the NPP delegates electoral system is seriously, sorry about that, is seriously outmoded and has outlived its usefulness. And you go ahead to say, thanks to social media and affordable smartphones, the average Ghanaian is adequately informed on local and global economic incidents. NPP members who want to participate to vote to elect leaders. The days of sharing gifts and cash amongst delegates will no longer suffice. Party members want to become polling station executives so that they can benefit periodically from the largesse that aspiring party elites bestow on delegates. Electoral forms are either inaccessible, getting missing, or names of candidates are not found on the candidate list on voting day. The incumbent executives are also using various tactics to stay unopposed. The dissatisfaction has accounted for the spate of violence associated with the polling station elections. And then if the NPP does not amend its constitution and continues to work with a few delegates, majority of our supporters will neither campaign nor vote at elections. We will lose the national election. That's quite emphatic. And you're saying the polling station elections are for one person, one vote. But the other elections will use the delegate electoral college system. The dates are as follows, and you give us the date. And you're saying the proposals as well as motions for the amendments to the party's constitution were tabled for discussion at the National Annual Delegates Conference held in Kumasi on December 19, 2021. Unfortunately, instead of moving the motions for discussion and adoption, the party leadership through Honorable Afenyo-Markin appealed to the delegates to accede their constitutional authority to the National Executive Committee to discuss the motions and decide on the constitutional amendment on behalf of the national delegates in conference. That is yet to be done by the NDC 4 months after the conference. And you're saying, can the delegates conference see their power to amend the constitution to NEC of the New Patriotic Party? In a nutshell, what are you suggesting? What are you saying?
Well, I was just being an advocate, and I'm just saying that this is the constitution of the New Patriotic Party. Now, Article 19 of this constitution provides amendments to the constitution and says, every amendment to this constitution shall be made at the National Annual Delegates Conference, provided that no amendment shall be made unless a notice is given, the General Secretary circulates, and 2/3 of the delegates, cast their votes in favor. That is what the Constitution provides. That was not done. That is yet to be done. And one wonders why. Because if we are upholding the Constitution of Ghana, and through that Constitution, we are able to elect periodically our representatives to Parliament and to the executive, then why are we not upholding the Constitution of the party? That is a bit amazing. I don't want to use the word ridiculous.
Right.
But amazing, okay? So that is my position.
I see, that's interesting. But so I think the long and short of what you're saying is that the current structure of the party as it is now will not bode well for it in the future unless the necessary amendments are made. Okay, so I'll come back to you on that. But Adams Bona doesn't usually discuss politics. He usually doesn't, unless there's a security angle to the politics. That's what he likes to look at. But today I'm going to compel him to express his thoughts because he's Ghanaian and whether we like it or not, leadership matters. And so I'm sure that he's been watching closely what's happening within the New Patriotic Party. He's got some views as well. So Nana Komiasu watched him on Good Morning Ghana, of which we played back on earlier. He's making a very interesting proposition that something very, very worrying is happening to the New Patriotic Party, especially from the camp of the two front-runners, which is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen. And in his view, one of the ways in which that can be dealt with, or one of the ways in which that can be brought under control, is to get the party elders to sit the two front-runners down and see if it is possible for some consensus building to take place. Who is going to be the flag bearer? Who is going to be the running mate? That's for them to decide. I mean, he describes that as they can trade their horse in that regard. Do you think that under the circumstances, what Nana Komia is proposing makes sense?
Well, good morning, and good morning to Madam and to your viewers. Well, I probably would have to disagree with Nana Komia.
Okay.
That is very undemocratic.
Right.
It's undemocratic in the sense that
sorry, isn't consensus building itself democratic?
No, you see, you have, I'm not a party member, but
right.
I mean, we are all watchers of what is going on, especially if you are in the area of security. If these NPP internal wranglings are not handled very well, we are going to have, probably more people die in 2024 elections.
That's serious.
And so we need to encourage the NPP to ensure that their internal politicking is done according to their own rules and regulations. You remember, I don't know how old you were when Hawkins Sinaka had to partner Jerry John Rawlings, as a running mate to Jerry John Rawlings.
Right.
Eventually, you know what happened?
Yep.
Hawkins Sinaka somehow, I think they didn't finish that particular term with
Rawlings.
With Rawlings.
And then the infamous slap.
Yes, you get it. And so mine is that they should ensure, as the NPP as a party should ensure, that these disagreements are properly dealt with. It is better to put who should be a flag bearer to vote. And whoever is chosen becomes the person whose name
will be on the ballot.
Be on the ballot.
Right.
Then that person is afforded the opportunity, per what I think the practice, to now build consensus and say, I would want Awudu, Mr. Awudu, to be my running mate.
Okay.
When that is done, then you are sure that you are still going to have the naysayers, some others who would say, we probably would not vote at all. We don't want to be part of it because our preferred candidate didn't win to be the
flag
top
bearer.
one,
Right.
the flag bearer. But at the end of the day, you are not going to have internal challenges that will spill into external challenges. The worst thing you are going to have is to have two huge personalities in the person of the current vice president, Mahmoud Bawumia, and Alan, who has been trying to be a flag bearer for years.
Right.
You decide to put them together. One of them then becomes a flag bearer. I don't know.
Right.
By consensus building.
Okay.
And they get to Jubilee House. They all come in there with their supporters, right? They come in there with their, as we speak, Nana has his own people who are around him, who have been with him from yesteryears to today.
Right.
There's HE, what's the name? The
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia
has his own people he started with, and they are with him. And so if he becomes the flag bearer and one day he becomes the president, these people are going to go with him. The last thing you want is for one of them to begin to feel that if we had put this thing to vote, our man probably would have won the election, so you are not suitable. So put it, I think that is democratic enough.
Right.
That way, I think it is possible to even get the neutrals, those who don't belong to either of the parties, either of the parties to come in and support and maybe vote for maybe the NPP. And so mine is that they should put it to vote instead of this compromise. It will rather not do augur well for our security, our internal security going forward, because it will probably make the work of the security agencies very difficult. Just look at just constituency elections,
right,
and how they are beating one another.
But you talk about security as one of the key considerations that a party must look at.
Yes.
Because if they're not able to get their act together internally, it has the potential of spiraling out of control.
Correct.
Externally.
Yeah.
But if you listen to Nana Komia very carefully, he says the very internal conflict or the internal turbulence or challenges that the party has at the moment in itself it's now become an existential threat to the New Patriotic Party. In fact, he goes ahead to cite the comments by a former member of parliament of the New Patriotic Party. I forgot, I think something Ofureji or something. I've forgotten his name. I can't quite readily recall. And I listened to that interview. You had, I think it was on Neat FM or so. And that is the interview Nana Komia is referring to. And he talks about the fact that, look, and that's not just him, but there have been many persons within the party who are saying all kinds of things. Threatening persons who here and there. If this person is made this is what will happen to the party. And he thinks that, look, one of the ways in which the party can deal with this is to say that, look, Dr. Mahmoud Bamia, please sit down. Alan, please sit down. Can the two of you work together? Because it is increasingly clear, becoming clear, that the two of you command such a commanding control or followership within the party. And so, can we bring this insanity down by getting the two of you to come together and say, no, we are now prepared to work together so that the NPP can regain its peace of mind? Because at the moment, there's no peace of mind within the party. So the very thing that you are complaining about, he says it has already started. But just that, unlike you who is saying that, let's be democratic, let's go out there and vote, let the people choose who they want to be their leader. He said, no, by the time that choice is made, by the time that election is made, maybe there won't be a New Patriotic Party.
Is that not what largely the NPP did and lost a lot of the seats in the 2020 elections?
Right, by imposing candidates.
My point is that I believe in, let my vote count. Put it to vote, whoever wins. It doesn't matter. You don't have to agree with me before I win or I lose. But once I win, it is incumbent on you. Don't be a sour loser. It's incumbent on you to fall in line and support, the ideology. But if you begin to try to whip people in line, what we are seeing at the moment in their just constituency elections.
Right.
Just constituency elections.
We saw similar things happen during the branch elections.
Can I?
Yes, you come in. I want him to learn. Or you want to?
When he
okay, sure.
Just constituency elections and branch, whatever. My point is that why would you want to prevent the people from making a choice?
Okay.
The moment you begin to put in structures, you are trying to get the people out of the way so that your preferred candidate is chosen. Because now, I am not a political analyst, but I am looking at it from the security point of view.
Right.
As we sit today, I am also, you invited me here today because of the security challenges we've seen, within the constituency elections. You can see how tough the police has been day one. And that has actually culminated into day two, a bit of calmness. Hopefully, today, tomorrow, we are going to see more calmness.
Right.
And so mine is that the NPP as a party, it didn't start today. It's been there, for a very long time. They should have, they will definitely have, time-tested, strategies to deal with these things.
Right.
Are you telling me that is it before 2016?
Right.
I think their chairman, secretary, what do you call them? Afoko, is it Afoko?
Oh, Paul Afoko was then the chairman.
Yes.
The general secretary was Kwabena Japon, AJ Japon.
There were
and then the vice,
heavyweights.
yes, vice chair, Sami Krab.
There were several heavyweights who were pushed aside.
Right.
Whether legally or...
But the party survived it.
My point is that allow the people to make a choice.
Okay.
For me, because at the end of the day, You don't want tomorrow anyone to sit somewhere, any country to sit somewhere and publish something and say, you see, these people, they don't even believe in democracy. Allow the people at the grassroots to, the more people get to be involved in the democratic whatever we are practicing, the better for all of us.
Right.
But when you stop people, you can see, other places, people have been arrested, people fighting. I mean, I lived in Britain.
But these two,
and the elections, you don't hear.
But these two front runners were told are commanding such huge followership. The rest can go and the rest can go and bend the sea.
No. It's not about commanding. My point is that, like Madam is saying,
yes,
some people actually filed to, I don't know what the process, to be voters or whatever.
Yes.
To
be elected
as
polling station executives.
And their names were
missing in the register.
Were missing.
Yes.
You see, when you do that, you create more challenges for the police and the security agencies. When you do that. Because then, if I am a card-bearing member of a party and I put my name up to be elected, and duly so, I'm supposed to be there. Allow me to be there. Don't go and sit in some room in some cocoa joint and decide to say that, you know what, by consensus, you and who are building that consensus. Put it to vote. That is what look at your party regulations and ensure that they're so. For me, I disagree completely with Nana Komia respectfully. I know he means well. I mean, he means well, but mine is that let's look at it vis-a-vis security, because you don't want a situation where people take the laws into their own hands and create more problems.
So you're suggesting that if this thing is allowed to happen, the party will implode. That's the point I'm making.
For 1 second.
Yes, Madam Gloria.
That statement is unconstitutional.
Why?
Because the party under Article 13, it's interesting. I believe that as party members, everybody should have
familiarize themselves with the party's constitution.
with the party's constitution, because it was registered with the EC on 24 June 1992, amended on 29th August 1998, and then further on 22nd August 2009, and further amended on 17 December 2017. An election of the presidential candidate under Article 13 talks of the fact that those who can qualify to contest as presidential candidates, and even says any national officer, minister, deputy minister, or MMDC who files to contest to become the presidential candidate of the party shall resign his or her position. But it goes on and on and on. But then the party, in order not to have 17 candidates like we did in 2007, with all its aftermath, has said that where there are more than 5 contestants, remember, I was at that delegates, conference where they discussed it.
Right.
And I said that we're looking at 3, but we settled at 5. So where there are more than 5 contestants for nomination as the party's presidential candidates, a special electoral college shall cast their votes by secret ballot for the first 5 contestants to be shortlisted. So even now, even though we are looking at having all card-bearing members to elect the president, already we have in our constitution that the candidates should not be more than 5 contestants. So if we have in the constitution that the candidates should not be more than 5 contestants, why is someone discussing and why are people excited that we should limit it to 2? That is totally
that's the unconstitutionality you're talking about.
So it's not something that should even be discussed.
Right. Unless, of course, the party changes amends its constitution. And until that happens. But here's the thing. But I think we should. I mean, yes, you are right to the point that, you're right about the point that constitutionally this is a no-go area. But let's look at the practicality of it. I know practical or whatever it must be done within the confines of the constitution. And I want us to wrap up on this quickly, because I would want us to go ahead and look at how generally.
The constitution was formulated by the party members.
That's true. But here's the thing.
It's not in a vacuum.
The flag bearer contest, Dr. Adams Bona and Madam Gloria, the flag bearership contest is coming up in 2020, pending the proposals. 2020.
I think next year.
First quarter.
We have just 2 years and probably 7 months
first quarter.
Next election.
Right.
I don't know when, but we have just 2 years and 7
Absolutely.
months. So looking at the constitution. It
Okay.
has to be before.
Exactly. So here's the thing. In fact, one of the reasons why those who have tabled proposals to the amendment of the party's constitution so that the
Including
elections...
myself.
Oh, you wanted to be held earlier?
No.
No, I'm talking about the flag bearership.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Amendments.
Now, those who are in favor of that, how do you call it, the proposition, one of the things they're suggesting is that, look, it become increasingly difficult to mend, bridges when the party finally elects its flag bearer. So when you bring it back to, say, 2022, by the end of 2022, or by the end of, or let's say mid-2023, the flag bearer has two advantages. One, he has time to go around and extend olive branch to persons who may have been hurt by virtue of the fact that he's been elected. And then, the healing is done and all the how do you call it, the reconciliations and things, there's enough time for that to happen. So that's one advantage. The other advantage is that he has more time to campaign. Of course, those who are against it are also saying that once that happens, then the sitting president becomes lame duck, because then power will then shift to a certain center. He's now the new king of the block. He is now the flag bearer of the party. So I'm saying that there are pros and cons to that particular amendment that has been tabled. But the reason I've brought this issue back into the conversation is that if what Nana Komia is saying is anything to go by, which is that there is some subtle tension and confusion within the party because of these two front runners. If whoever emerges the flag bearer of the party by, say, end of 2023 or by early 2024, won't that person have a Herculean task?
No. You see,
based on everything that's happening now?
One thing we don't have to forget of is that members of the NPP alone cannot get the NPP as a party into government.
True.
It's not possible.
True. You need a swing of floating voters.
It's not possible.
Right.
If you look at the statistics, NDC lost the 2016 elections because they are strongholds. Most of the people didn't come out.
They didn't turn out in their numbers.
Right? Good. Apart from that, there were swing areas that you must win, swing regions and the rest. And so if NPP would eventually win 2024 elections,
right,
it will be incumbent or it will be dependent on a lot of factors.
Right.
And that would include how well the NPP has done today.
Performance.
Yes, performance. How well the NPP has done today.
Right.
Largely going into 2025 or 2024 elections.
Okay.
How do people see the NPP? Is the NPP more credible to lead, Ghanaians for another term?
Right.
And so mine is that if you look at this and make it look like it's just maybe just the NDC people alone can put NDC into power,
then you must be joking.
You must be joking. If you take 2016,
okay,
NDC lost by close to 1 million.
Right.
If you take 2020, what are we seeing in Parliament?
Right.
The numbers
reduced drastically. Yes, even in presidential.
Yes, and so mine is that whatever the parties are doing, those who are in the middle are watching, because then the more chaotic you guys are, the more probably people will not want to associate with you.
Right.
So we would want to see, the party being more democratic. The more democratic you are, for me, I believe in, democracy, internal democracy. So if you can put forward a candidate who is elected, then chances are that you are going to have more people who would come to that side of the aisle and say, we would vote for him because he, went through the process and got elected to lead the country.
Ghanaians
but
respect
where
that.
you meet somewhere and say, because of your internal issues, we are all Ghanaians, your internal issues should be of concern to us. So mine is that, like Madam said, this is what the Constitution says. You have the Akoto, Honorable Akoto, the our great minister.
Yes, if you Akoto.
You can't wish him away. You can't wish him off the race. You can't just say, oh, he's not going to do well.
Neither would you do same to Boachi Jacko?
The former railway minister, what is his name?
What's the name? Is it
He's in the Western region.
Joe Gatti.
Joe Gatti.
Yes.
Joe Gatti, I think we are told he's also standing.
Yeah, he's an aspirant.
He speaks very well.
Dr. Kofi Kunedu Apreku.
They are. Yeah. These are people who.
Yeah, Adani is still in the
picture.
picture.
So are you telling me that
you should jettison all of them?
You just push all these people. You just push all these people away. Because you want 2 people to go. I mean, hell no.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's it. For me, if you do that, you are going to create more chaos in terms of security internally for themselves and then externally for, what do you call it, all of us. So as far as I'm concerned, I even though I'm not a party member, right, would want a situation where NPP becomes a better party, right, NDC becomes a better party, CPP and the rest, so that our democratic credentials will continue to go up and improve.
Right. So this is Inside Pages. Madam, I know you have something you want to say quickly. Okay, sure. So just in case you just joined us, this is Inside Pages on Metro Television. We are having a conversation about the new patriotic party's internal elections at the constituency level. We've seen some chaos in some constituencies, not all of them in selected constituencies, parts of it. And when we come back, we will look at what may have possibly created this situation. But we were talking about the proposal by Nana Komia that the party elders must sit Dr. Bawumia and Alan Kyerematen down to see how best they can work together and build consensus. In fact, Madam Gloria has told us that that's even a no-go area because that will be clearly an unconstitutional act. It will be a breach of the party's constitution. That is a no-go area, even though she's expressed her opinion on that matter. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll now look at the constituency elections itself and what may have gone wrong. I mean, what is this thing about people not finding their names in the party's register? How could that possibly happen? And again, some of the delegates are saying that we're seeing very strange names. Some of them even NDC sympathizers. We had well-known NDC persons are on NPP register. How could that have happened? When we come back, we will discuss that matter as well. Welcome back. This is Inside Pages on Metro Television. My name is Mo Radu. The WhatsApp line, for those of you who have opinions or views that you intend to express on the issues under discussion, it's 0500,000 25621. 05,000-25621. Now, the show goes all the way till 10. Dr. H.S. Kanku, who is a political communications and campaign analyst, he'll be joining us shortly. He has actually prepared some slides, very interesting analysis about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia Alan ticket. That is, if indeed the party is able to, I don't know how he's going to do it, but if that happens, right? Yes, I know, Madam Gloria is unconstitutional, but if that happens, I don't know how it's going to happen, but if that happens, what will be the implications for the party? Now, Dr. H.S. Kanku will be doing that. In fact, he's joined us. He's with us now. He'll be taking his seat very shortly. But what do you also think? I'm very much interested in what you think as viewers, whether you're MPP, NDC, CPP, PNC, whatever it is. What do you think about an Alan, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia partnership for the party's 2024 ticket? Or you think that it won't matter? Your decision has already been made as to whether you're going to vote them out or in or maintain. And that's the point I'm making. I have Dr. Adam Bona. He's a security analyst, but today I have made him to comment quite extensively. He's done some serious political science analysis here. I'm impressed because he usually would do pure security analysis, but today he's done some political analysis. Very impressed indeed. Now, Madam Gloria Oforiboidu is also a private legal practitioner with a GOB law consult. But yeah, she's told us that she's also a sympathizer of the New Patriotic Party, and she has very, very strong views. In fact, a founding member of the New Patriotic Party. She's got very strong views about what is happening to the New Patriotic Party. And she thinks that some structures would have to be put in place, otherwise the party would lose the elections in 2024. Some things would have to be done radically, otherwise the party will lose the elections. And she talks about the party's constitution because of some constitutional amendment. So 0500025621. I've got some messages already. I'll be looking at that shortly. But let's now come back to what's happening at the party's constituency level. Now, it was supposed to be a very simple exercise. Go out there and vote for who you believe would be the best person to manage the party at the constituency level, whether it's chairman, treasurer, organizer, women's, whatever. But now we're hearing some pockets of chaos and confusion. Indeed, Abdallah, if we have some of the tapes, let's play some of it now before we start a conversation. Otherwise, when we start and you have the tapes, please let me know so we can play some of the tapes. But some of the things that we've seen where people, delegates, go to the polling center to go and vote, and their names are not there. You know, that's number one. Number two, they check some of the names on the voters register, and the names that are there are NDC sympathizers. How? You know, so for them, something doesn't add up. And in cases where they have tried to register their protest, of course, sometimes in a very brutal manner, the police will pick them up and go and lock them up. But that's just one side of the issue. We've also seen some persons who claim to be national security operatives who have sidearms, dressed, as though they are policemen, and they were actually participating in the process. They were voting. The police tells us that so far 7 persons have been arrested. So that's another leg of the discussion I'd want us to look at. But Madam Gloria, you are a party member. Have you ever witnessed something like this within the New Patriotic Party before? Where people can't find the names on the list? And this is not something that started at the constituency level. What's even happening at the electoral level. Have you seen something like this before?
I've told you of the polling station elections that I witnessed.
Right.
Where one woman, Sister Amma, complained. In fact, another gentleman also complained. Kwame Sari, in some different villages.
Right.
That they all filed their nominations with some people, but their names were not found on election day to be voted for.
Right.
And I told you of the gentleman who said, okay, he will not talk about it, but when it comes to 2024 elections, we should come down and man all the polling stations ourselves.
Okay.
Now, there's something going on, which I personally complained about last year.
Right.
About, I think 2020 was the elections.
Mm-hmm.
About over 60 members of parliament who wanted to go unopposed. And who, for some reason, the party moved heaven and earth to keep unopposed, including my area where I wanted to contest, and we had to step aside because we were compelled. Some said I was disqualified.
Compelled?
Yes,
you were told that
I was disqualified.
You were disqualified
with no sentence or word till today.
So the people there were not allowed to make their choice.
And so what happened was that a lot of people, party supporters,
abstained
did not
from voting.
vote. And before then, there was research that if we did that as a party, we'll lose over 400,000 votes. So I remember that I quoted that research and even appealed to the party elders that we should look at that research so that we don't lose votes.
Right.
Because the party is based on liberal democratic principles, where people are supposed to be involved in electing their own candidates.
Right.
As a result, a lot of people all over the country did not vote. Party supporters did not vote.
Right.
They will not vote, or they will abstain from voting than to vote for another party. So they didn't vote. A number of them also did not campaign. And so we lost a lot, as a party, we lost a lot of seats. And now there's a hung parliament, but there's a president from the party with a hung parliament, and all these commissions going on.
How do you
in the
relate
parliament.
your personal experience and that which has happened to other persons to what is happening today?
So it's this whole thing of unopposed, this practice or whatever.
You mean party executives are protecting their positions?
Of unopposed MPs, members of parliament.
Okay.
I'll say boomeranged into this party, where every member of parliament wants to protect those he thinks are his loyal supporters. And so at the end of the day, loyal supporters have to be in the register, and then suspected disloyal supporters
have to be kicked out.
Should not be in the register. So it's this whole aberration of the democratic process which is bringing out these things. Because why should we, in the name of God, even think of unopposed MPs? If you are an MP, a member of parliament, and you have the support, the people themselves will vote for you, and vote for you massively.
Right.
So why do you have to move heaven and earth to be unopposed? that is also something that I have discussed. And I always discuss these things. It's captured.
Right.
When we said that, look at the research. We are going to lose votes. This unopposed thing is not based on the liberal democratic principles of our founding fathers. So it's the issue of unopposed. And now the unopposed at the parliamentary level has also translated to the polling stations where chairpersons want to be unopposed, executive want to be unopposed. I don't even know where in the name.
Because the MPs want to protect the executives.
So over 60 MPs in 2020 were made to, I shouldn't use the word contest unopposed, were made unopposed.
Were imposed on the constituency.
Unopposed. I mean, wherever that came from.
But that's a very interesting theory.
It's not a theory. It's something that has happened. Look at the
post by Benefson, yeah.
Yes, and look at what I also posted at that time.
Right.
That it is, it's breeding dictatorial tendencies, and the president should even look at it, intervene, so that we don't lose votes, because everybody wants their party to win. It's as simple as that.
But Madam Gloria, the proponents of this idea of people going unopposed will also tell you that the majority sometimes are not right. So if in fact, one of the reasons why the likes of, there were talks about the current majority leader and Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Osagyemi Sabunsu, and how the party had picked up signals on the ground that he may lose.
Are you talking of a majority leader? I have my opinion. There's no majority in Parliament.
Well, the leader of the majority group, the majority group, and I'm talking about the member of Parliament for Swami, where the party had picked up signals that he could lose the primaries. And the party needed to protect him because they believed that they needed him in Parliament at all costs. And same for other persons in the party whom they believed there was no way they were going to allow them to leave Parliament. Otherwise, it would weaken the party's presence in Parliament. And so that then informs the party's decision to go with this unopposed policy, which is to make sure that whether you like it or not, we'll keep that money. In any case, most of these persons who were being imposed on the constituencies were persons whom the party believed were standing on, were contesting in constituencies that they would deem largely as safe seats. So whether you like it or not, we'll bring the person back, okay? And the person will win the election, will win the seat for the party anyway. But the party is looking more at who would be in Parliament rather than, stepping on a few foot or feet here and there. People may be disgruntled or disenchanted and so on and so forth. So that, we're told, are the reasons why some of these things happen, where persons are being made to go unopposed. I don't know whether that makes sense to you.
I will talk of my experience some years back when I chaired the vetting committee in Ashanti region. And I still remember that at that time, the MP for, at that time, I think it was one Menshia constituency, the Honorable Napu. I remember very well, there was a gentleman who was contesting him. And Napo was quite furious, because he thought the gentleman did not deserve to do that.
Okay.
And some of the executives were also not in favor of the gentleman. And so they kept insisting that for some reasons he should be disqualified. Now, I looked at those reasons, and as a chair of the vetting committee, can you hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, I looked at those reasons, and as a chair of the vetting committee, I believe that the man should just be allowed to contest the primaries.
Right.
And so, the decision was taken that he should be allowed to contest the primaries.
Okay.
He did contest the primaries with Honorable Napu and lost miserably.
Right.
Now, I met him at the funeral of the then chairman. I think the chairman at the time also was not in favor of this gentleman.
Okay.
And he came to me and said, Madam, thank you very much. I contested the primaries. I did not win. But I'm at peace. I know I contested the primaries. I did not win, but I'm at peace.
Right.
And I believe that Honorable Napo was also at peace because he won massively and there was no dispute.
Yeah.
If this man had been disqualified by my committee you can imagine the perception that, well, he will have gone, he will have won, and so Honorable Napo does not deserve to be there. And the mayhem and the bitterness and the rancor that will have emerged after that. I personally believe that this issue of disqualifying members and all the rancor is not worth it, or imposing members. If the MP believes that he or she is worth her efforts and hard work, just go ahead and contest. The people will decide. Than to try and push people aside who may not even have won the elections had you gone ahead to contest the primaries. So it builds confidence. From this experience,
allow people to go ahead and test their popularity or their likability.
That's all.
I see. That's quite interesting. So this is what we're doing shortly. Dr. H.S. Kanku has joined us. Fortunately, we have about 15 minutes to wrap up on this program. But what Doc will do is that Doc would take over with his slides. He'll make a presentation about the Alan Bawumia conundrum. He has some very interesting analysis that he wants to make of that. But before I do that, let me just I have some quick announcement that I need to make quickly. It's an announcement which is very, very, very important to you as well. You're watching us from wherever you're watching us now. AH Hotel and Conference it wants to notify you of some power interruption, and they are saying that, dear valued guests, in our commitment to ensure excellent service delivery to you at all times, we would like to inform you that our routine maintenance of the hotel is scheduled to take place today, Saturday, 30th April 2022. As a result of this, the hotel will experience temporary power outage between the hours of 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Any inconvenience caused is deeply regretted. Any inconvenience caused is deeply regretted. Yours sincerely, that's Eddie Kosa. I hope I got the pronunciation of that. That's the general manager. That's from the general manager. So if you are a patron, a potential patron of the AH Hotel, AH Hotel has this announcement for you. It says that in their commitment to ensure excellent service delivery to you at all times, would like to inform you that our routine maintenance of the hotel is scheduled to take place today, that's Saturday, 30th April 2022. And as a result, the hotel will experience a temporary power outage between the hours of 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. So please take note. I'll be back after this short break. Welcome back. This is Inside Pages on Metro Television. My name is Moro Awudu. I have Madam Gloria Oforiboidu, who is a private legal practitioner with the GOB Law Consult. I also have Dr. Adam Bona, who's almost like an uncle to me. Fantastic man. He's a security analyst. He's also with us here on Inside Pages. Now, thankfully, we've also been joined in the studio by Dr. H.S. Kanku. Dr. H.S. Kanku is a political communications and a campaign analyst. He's been watching from the sidelines. He's heard, he's read, he has observed this whole talk about Alan Bawumia tickets for the New Patriotic Party in 2024. What are the dynamics and what would it look like? Are they compatible, etc., etc.? So, and that's his area of expertise and specialization, and also the area of political communication. So, Doc, how do you, first of all, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning.
And it's always a pleasure having you here on Inside Page. You're a very busy man, so usually when you join us, we're very excited.
Thank you for inviting me.
Because your students are waiting for you.
Thanks for inviting me. And good morning to my panelists.
Yeah, right. So here's the thing. How do you intend to approach this? Because initially you were going to do a presentation, but I think there's some change in plans. So but how do you intend to approach this?
Let's just have a discussion.
Sure, let's just have a discussion. Right. So what are your thoughts? Nana Komi has made a proposal. What are your thoughts?
Okay. Thank you very much. Good morning to you, the viewers. To my colleagues here, I've been listening. It's good to join you.
Right.
So I think this is something that has dominated the political headlines for some time now.
Right.
Even before Nana Komi said it, the Honorable Osei Mencha Bonsu had made some comments to that extent, and also it's just something that was within the political system. Well, I'm not sure if it's Honorable Osei Mencha Bonsu, so let me take that back. But it is an issue that has dominated the political conversations for some time. It is an interesting permutation and one that definitely deserves some introspection or some analysis.
Right.
Once the presidential permutations begin to be discussed within the light of the vice presidency, then it means that factors that have to do with who qualifies or what are the characteristics of a VP come into play. Previously, we talked about the nomination. Oh, it's Alan, it's Baumia, it's Boache Jako, and all of that. So it was at that level, the presidential primaries, and who gets the presidential nomination or the ticket. And then on the NDC side, John Mahama, Dr. Dufour, and on and on and on. But now, the idea of the VP has entered into the permutations. And that hasn't always happened at this stage of the primaries.
Right.
But it is the case now because of what we all know has been the fact that there are two major front runners in the NPP, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Baumia and then Mr. Alan Chemanting. Right. And it looks like both of them are very powerful dynamites or have powerful bases within the party. And so there is that threat whenever there are two big forces. There's always that threat that the ground might end up suffering when two elephants fight. Right. The intra-party divisions that might come out of the whole internal fight. Right. And so to curb those internal party frictions, the suggestion has come that maybe the two of them can go together.
Okay.
Now, was the former chief of staff, Mr. Kojin Pieni, made statements to the extent that either it doesn't work that way or it's not as easy as it sounds. He premised it on two factors. The fact that people have their ambitions.
Absolutely.
And the fact that they got to also be compatible and all of that. Then other people have talked about, in other areas, about the fact that Alan Chemanting, it is his time, and Dr. Baumia is, excuse me to say, quote unquote, some people use the word an alien within the party, and that he's jumping the carts because he's not gone through the ranks, the mill and all of that. So this is where we are, and this is the premise, the context of the conversation.
That's interesting.
Yes, now let's dive deep into it. In order for you to have a successful vice presidency or a successful vice presidential candidature, several things need to be working. Again, in politics, at the end of the day, everything boils down to numbers. You want to win an election, and you want to make choices which will be able to get you the best possible advantage in terms of those numbers. You want to cross the Rubicon. Right. Like Madam said, nobody wants to lose. So at the basis of all of this is the fact that you want the numbers to come in, you want to win the election, and you want to cross that Rubicon beyond your party base. And so every single decision or dynamic or consideration as far as the presidential nomination or candidature should be aimed at achieving this particular end or this particular goal. So there are about 7 to 8 or a number of factors that need to come into play if such a partnership is supposed to be successful. What are those important qualities or essential elements or factors? One, there needs to be what I call the balance diametrics. We have the ethnic balance, the regional balance, the age balance, and of course, the gender balance. You look at the ticket. Do we have a regional balance? Maybe we do, because Alan from the southern part, and then Dr. Mahmoud from the northern part. Right. Do we have an ethnic balance? Yes. There is Mr. Alan Chemanting from, let's say, I don't know whether it's the Akan or the Ashanti wing, of it. Right. And then Dr. Mahmoud, I'm not saying he covers the entire north, but at least he's from that part of the region. Right. And just that alone, there's some affinity. We also know that in 2020, he did quite some job in the north of bringing in some northern votes for the NPP in the 2020 election. He did some good work up there.
2016?
2016 and 2020. Yeah, the last
he didn't
election.
get it quite. Okay.
Both elections, he was on the ticket as VP. So that northern factor was at play. That's what I mean. So there is that the regional balance, if we go according to that, there is an ethnic balance to take care of. Now, an age balance. Well, I don't think all of them are out and out youth. Although one might be older or younger than the other, we can check that later on. But we don't have a typical youthful candidate on the ticket. Okay, Dr. Baumia, maybe to some extent, is not as old.
But Alan is in his 60s, Baumia is in his 50s.
Yes.
Right.
So Dr. Baumia, probably not as old as Alan or even Nana Akufo-Addo when they ran, but definitely not in the typical 40s where you are able to galvanize a large section of the youth or they see an aspirational force there, but considerably younger. So there's that age balance which is there to be considered.
Okay.
Then there is the gender balance. So this definitely does not take the gender balance.
Right.
It does not completely take the youth balance.
Right.
Yes, because the youth always want someone in their mood that they can look up to. So those are considerations for them to think about. Then there is executive experience. When you look at a ticket, either on the top or the bottom, the president or the VP, you want somebody with a considerable amount of experience. What kind of experience? Governance and executive experience. Look at that dynamic. Well, what position prepares you for the presidency more than the vice presidency? So there is some form of executive experience there. Ministerial experience, if you look at the literature, is counted as executive experience. So there's that. Then we have campaign, party, or the traditional role of a VP as an attack dog. So party or campaign experience. If you look at the two candidates, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if Mr. Alan Shermanting has run for office apart from the presidency or running to be president. I don't know if he has run as a polling station executive, ward, branch, constituency, and all of that, or even MP, electoral office. I mean, I don't, to what I know, to my mind.
He's never been an MP.
Yeah,
He's
never.
never been an MP.
Dr. Baumia does not tick that box either.
Right.
But you can say that by virtue of the fact that Dr. Baumia was on the VP ticket of the current president, his campaign experience stretches far and wide. I mean, we all know what he did. 2020, 2016, taking it to the NDC, his speeches, his lectures, all of that on the campaign trail. So he's up there a little bit compared to Dr. Baumia, Mr. Alan. Yes. Now, compatibility, which is a very, very important thing. You look at the history, the literature, and many democracies. This is what has always undermined the partnerships or the VP dynamics and presidential dynamics in many democracies in the world. You look at the US initially, they operated what they called the balance model, where people were chosen for geographical or ideological balance. And so they say, oh, you are from the South, you are from the North, you are from the Midwest, you are here. The candidate is from here, so let's get this to balance. It hasn't always worked out because sometimes the geographical and ideological balance is there, but the compatibility balance is not there.
Right.
Now, why is compatibility important? Because you do not want a VP who would come and undermine you.
Right.
You want a vice president who will be an unflinching supporter and cheerleader of your agenda, who will be able to carry your agenda through or through and be a supporting partner in that respect. Look at Al Gore and Bill Clinton.
Right.
It was not just for the sake of, it was not an arranged marriage. You know what an arranged marriage is?
Right.
Let us do this for the sake of political expediency. But in terms of governance, and in terms of if this will be an effective, workable one to prosecute the agenda, if you do something for the sake of expediency, sometimes it undermines the overall agenda that you want to go to. So I believe this is something that really needs to be looked at very, very carefully. There are some vice presidents who would end up using the position to start running for president whilst they are in office. And so it is like there is a different power center that is being operated even from the VP ship. So he's undermining you and he's already thinking of the next election. And when that happens, it leads to a less than cordial relationship between the top and the bottom of the ticket. You want a vice president that, when they ask Joe Biden, the current American president, what kind of vice president do you want? He said, somebody who will be ready on day one to work. Right. Somebody who will be able to fill in my shoes when I'm not there. And he said, we have to be simpatico, which means we have to gel. Right. We have to align. Look at President Barack Obama and Joe Biden. They had what we called one of the best bromances. They were not just working, they didn't just have a working relationship, they had a friendship. And they had a common cause. They looked out for each other. question for the NPP to consider. Is this the case when it comes to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Alan Chamanti?
That's interesting. Very, very interesting.
Last is the complementarity. They have to complement each other in terms of their experiences.
Right.
Both economic prognosticators. Who makes up for what? Sometimes one is the economic side, another person has a totally different experience. Foreign policy, healthcare, something else. Do they complement each other or are they in the same lane?
Right.
And so complementarity is something that you have to think about. So these are some of
the issues. Wow, these are the dynamics that proponents of this Alan Bawumia
I keep saying,
well, unconstitutionality. You have to consider. It's quite clear.
More than 5, and when there are more than 5 protestants, it shall be. There shall be.
I totally agree with you on that.
Let our votes count.
We
don't want anyone to feel disenfranchised.
Right, and we're a country governed by the rule of law. Unfortunately, we have just about 4 minutes to go, but I don't know whether you have any quick thoughts you want to share on the chaps who have been arrested, 7 of them.
Yes.
And apparently, vigilante, these same guys we've been talking about from Iowa, so they're still around.
I think 4 of them are soldiers.
4 of them are soldiers.
Seconded to the National Security Ministry or Secretariat. So probably I would have to thank the Greater Accra Regional Police Commander and his team for ensuring that, hoodlums like them who are not assigned to polling centers, once you appear there and you are dressed in fatigue or police or military uniform.
Are you worried it's becoming a common feature in NPP?
You see, it is becoming because I say it's lack of leadership. I call it lack of leadership because then if everything, I am old enough to have voted for the 1992 Constitution at the referendum. And so I'm old enough to have seen a lot of these elections. And if you see the NPP that didn't come out of a revolution behaving this way, and then the party that came out of a revolution rather conduct somewhat, very calm elections, then you begin to ask yourself what is going wrong. And it is not helping the security situation of this country. Why would any party executive, so-called, call national security officers, armed to be at a polling center when you know they have no business going there? What are they going there to go and do? Why would the party executive, so-called, go with soldiers? So I believe that soldiers and the national security, officers who are watching, if you are deceived or lured into any of these polling centers, the police have a message for you. They would arrest you. And so I think it's happening all over the country. They would arrest you, and then I'm told that yesterday when the 4 of them were arrested, the military came for them. Yes. And when you are told that the military came for them, you know the consequences of that. Right. They are likely to lock you up in the guard room. You are likely to suffer some consequences. So for me, I think that the NPP should, it's becoming calmer. So I think they should watch what they are doing because it's not speaking well for them as a party.
Gloria, just 30 seconds if you can do this. Your final words, concluding remarks.
I still go by the fact that we need the delegates, and a delegates conference to look at the proposals for the amendment to the NPP constitution.
Okay. All right. I want to thank you very much for watching. It's been, yes, it's just 30 seconds. Oh, yes, sure. I need to do this quickly because we have to go before we're taking off air now. Here's the thing. Happy belated birthday to you, Henry Otunfo of the Presbyterian Boys High School 2021 National Science and Maths Quiz finalist team from your colleagues, the NSMQ team, and the entire Odadia fraternity. That's come from Henry Otunfo Mawunya Kofi. Oh, it's going to Henry.
It's going to him.
Oh, it's going to Henry. Okay.
Yes, it's a birthday greeting from the Odadia family.
Right, from Odadia family.
For making us proud.
Oh, wonderful.
At the National Science and Maths Quiz.
Thanks for watching. It's been another exciting edition of Inside Pages. I want to thank my guest, Dr. Ichis Kanku. He's a lecturer at GIJ. Dr. Adam Bona, security analyst, and Madam Gloria Buedu. She is a private legal practitioner. Thanks for watching. Same time next week, and I'll be here. Bye-bye.